Most people don't live in financial poverty. They live in psychological poverty. They don't see themselves as builders, owners, creators. They see themselves as workers, survivors, dependents. But let me tell you something ancient and true. Until you change the way you see yourself, you cannot change the way you live. The greatest tragedy is not that people work hard all their lives. It's that they work hard and never build anything that works for them. They sell their hours, their years, their energy, and when the sun sets, they realize they've built someone else's dream and abandoned their own. But here's the truth, and it's one I had to learn myself. Wealth is not something you chase, it's something you attract by becoming a certain kind of person. The kind who stops thinking like an employee. The kind who starts thinking like an architect of value. The kind who replaces survival with strategy and effort with ownership. So, I ask you, are you ready to kill the mindset of poverty? Are you ready to stop trading life for wages and start building something that lasts beyond your paycheck? Then stay with me, because today we begin the transformation from worker to wealth builder. I want you to imagine for a moment that your financial situation is not just about the numbers in your bank account or the balance of your paycheck. It starts much deeper. It begins within your mind. Freedom, true freedom, is first an internal state. It is the liberation of your thoughts, the release from fear, excuses, and the invisible chains of limiting beliefs that bind so many people to a life of struggle. I have seen it in my own life and in countless others. No matter how much money flows in, if your mind is trapped in doubt and scarcity, your finances will reflect that confinement. Financial freedom is not a matter of luck or a sudden windfall. It's the natural outcome of a mind that refuses to be held captive. Years ago, when I was just starting out, I was overwhelmed by debt and uncertainty. I carried with me a small but powerful realization: if I could not first master my thoughts, no amount of money would ever be enough to set me free. The moment I began to change the way I thought about money, about myself, and about possibility, the path forward began to clear. It's like unlocking a door that you didn't even know was closed. Fear tells you that money is scarce, that opportunity is limited, that you don't deserve success. Excuses create a prison where you blame external circumstances for your lack of progress. But these are nothing more than stories, stories that you have the power to rewrite. The wealthy, the truly wealthy, operate from a place of mental mastery. They understand that money is not the master but the servant, and that begins with how they see the world. Instead of fearing risk, they embrace learning and growth. Instead of shrinking from failure, they see it as a stepping stone. They cultivate habits of thought that focus on possibility, abundance, and responsibility. This shift is the foundation of their financial outcomes. I remember a mentor telling me once that the mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of fear, doubt, and limitation, that is what will grow. But if you nurture seeds of confidence, knowledge, and courage, your financial garden will flourish. The first step toward financial freedom is to tend to that garden carefully, uprooting weeds of negative beliefs and planting new truths that serve your growth. This means becoming aware of your inner dialogue, catching yourself when excuses creep in, and consciously choosing thoughts that empower rather than diminish. When your mind is free, your decisions align with that freedom. You take ownership of your choices. You stop blaming the economy, your upbringing, or your job for where you are. Instead, you ask, what can I do today to move closer to financial independence? This internal shift changes the way you manage money no longer. Is it about surviving paycheck to paycheck? It becomes about building, investing, and growing. Think about it. Every step toward wealth starts with a decision, a mental commitment that you will no longer be a victim of circumstance, but a creator of your reality. The process is gradual, but the payoff is immense. As you cultivate this mental freedom, you will notice how opportunities appear, how solutions replace problems, and how your confidence grows. Remember, true financial freedom is more than a number. It's the ability to live without fear of scarcity, without the chains of limiting beliefs, and without surrendering your power to external forces. It's a state of mind that transforms your financial outcomes in your life. So, as you walk this path, begin within. Break free from the mental prisons that keep you bound. Embrace a mindset of abundance and responsibility. Control your thoughts, and you will control your future. This is where financial freedom truly begins. Wealth isn't some mysterious treasure hidden behind closed doors. It's the natural result of a simple formula, one that I have learned time and again through my own journey and countless stories of those who have walked the path before me. That formula starts with a question that changes everything. How can I serve? Not, quote, what's in it for me, but how can I solve problems that matter to others? When you shift your focus away from personal gain and toward contribution, you tap into a wellspring of abundance that no one can take away. I've witnessed it over and over. The people who find true financial freedom are those who dedicate themselves to being of value, who become problem solvers in their communities, their industries, their families. This isn't just about selling a product or offering a service. It's about understanding the needs of others deeply and stepping forward with solutions that improve lives. When you serve others genuinely and with discipline, wealth follows naturally, almost as a byproduct. Early in my career, I was focused on what I could get: commissions, sales, bonuses. But I quickly realized that those who succeeded were not the ones chasing money, they were the ones chasing excellence in service. It was a lesson hard-learned but invaluable. If you want to build lasting wealth, don't chase the money, chase the problem, and solve it with integrity and care. The market rewards those who give value, not those who take shortcuts or look for quick wins. This leads us to the next essential part of the formula: discipline. Serving others is not a one-time act of kindness, it's a consistent habit. It's waking up every day committed to delivering your best, to showing up, to improving, to staying true to your word. Discipline is what separates fleeting success from lasting wealth. It's the quiet, daily work, answering emails, following through on promises, improving your skills, maintaining your integrity that builds trust and reputation. And trust is currency in every market. I often reflect on the story of a man who built his wealth by simply being reliable, by being the person who never missed a deadline, who always delivered what he promised, and who treated every customer with respect. That consistency turned into a reputation, and reputation turned into opportunities. This is the power of discipline paired with service. Serving isn't always glamorous, and the rewards aren't always immediate. Sometimes you give without receiving anything in return for a time. But that's the foundation of genuine wealth, the long game. The moment you decide to serve, first and foremost, you align yourself with a force greater than money itself. You become part of a cycle where your contributions create more value, and more value creates more wealth. And here's another truth. Solving problems stretches you. It forces you to grow, to learn new skills, to think creatively. You can't serve well if you stand still. So serving is also a pathway to personal growth, and personal growth is a key to lasting financial freedom. When you commit to solving meaningful problems, you commit to a journey of constant improvement. So, if you want to create wealth that lasts, start by asking yourself, how can I be of service? What problems can I solve? Make that your compass. Couple that with unwavering discipline. Show up every day. Do the work. Keep your promises. Improve relentlessly. And you will see wealth begin to flow towards you. It's not a secret formula, it's a timeless truth. True riches come from contribution, and the path to wealth is paved with service and discipline. When you live by this principle, you stop chasing money and start building a legacy. There's a powerful lesson that the wealthy know well, and it's that true wealth is rarely born from flashy schemes or quick wins. It's built patiently, quietly, and steadily through the mastery of simple, fundamental principles that many overlook because they seem boring. But I've come to realize that it's exactly this steady, disciplined commitment to the basics that separates those who build empires from those who chase empty dreams. Early in my life, I watched many people fall for the allure of instant riches. The get-rich-quick promises, the shiny offers, the magic formulas. And time again, those chasing hype found themselves disappointed, trapped in cycles of loss and regret. But the people who quietly saved a portion of their income, who invested wisely, and who understood the power of compound growth, they were the ones who built real, lasting wealth. This isn't theory. It's been proven across generations. I remember when I first understood the magic of compound interest. It seemed almost too simple, almost too slow to matter. But then I watched small sums, invested consistently over time, grow exponentially. It was like watching a seed slowly sprout into a mighty oak tree. The excitement wasn't immediate, but the results over years were undeniable. It showed me that wealth isn't about how fast you start, but how consistently you keep going. It's tempting in today's world to want quick results, to want the shortcut. But shortcuts often lead nowhere. The wealthy respect the boring fundamentals, saving regularly even when it feels like a sacrifice, investing prudently without chasing trends, and allowing time to work its magic. They don't get distracted by the noise because they understand that simplicity is the foundation on which empires are built. There's a phrase I often think about. Wealth is the ability to fully experience life. And that ability doesn't come from a sudden windfall. It comes from the steady accumulation of resources that give you freedom and options. This steady path is less glamorous, but it's where real freedom lives. In my own experience, it was the discipline of saving a portion of every paycheck. No matter how small, that became my financial anchor. I combined that with learning how to invest and understanding the patience required to let those investments grow. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't exciting, but it was effective. The rich aren't risk-averse fools, but they don't gamble with their future. They respect the principles that have stood the test of time and apply them with consistency. It's the mundane habits, living below your means, avoiding unnecessary debt, making informed investments that create wealth that lasts. They build slowly, like laying one brick at a time, never rushing, never skipping the foundation. One of the greatest traps in today's world is the obsession with complexity and speed. People often think wealth requires genius or luck, but what it really requires is patience, humility, and the courage to stick to the fundamentals even when it feels slow. The fundamentals may not excite you, but they will empower you. I've seen countless examples, men and women who kept their eyes on the basics, who didn't let the distractions of quick wins pull them away, who steadily saved, invested, and grew their wealth over decades. These are the people who ultimately enjoy financial peace and freedom. So, if you want to build lasting wealth, start by embracing the boring fundamentals. Save consistently, invest wisely, understand compound growth, and above all, repeat these habits relentlessly. It's not flashy, it's not fast, but it's the surest way to build an empire that endures. That's the truth that time and experience have taught me. Simplicity builds empires. Failure is often misunderstood in the world of wealth and success. Many see it as a dead end, a signal to stop, a reason to give up. But the truth is quite the opposite. Failure is not the final verdict on your journey. It's feedback, a powerful teacher that, if listened to, can guide you to wiser decisions and stronger strategies. This mindset separates those who remain trapped in poverty from those who rise to build lasting wealth. Early in my career, I encountered failure more times than I can count. I lost money, missed opportunities, and faced rejection. At first, each setback felt like a personal defeat. I thought it was a sign that I wasn't cut out for success. But over time, I began to see failure differently. Instead of an ending, it became a lesson tuition I had to pay for the education of experience. Every mistake taught me something valuable about people, business, and myself. The poor mindset treats failure as proof that they should quit, that they are not good enough, or that the path they've chosen is impossible. It's a mindset that fears failure so much it never tries or tries once and then retreats into safety. This fear creates a cage, locking people into cycles of mediocrity, always wondering what if, but never willing to take the risk to find out. In contrast, the wealthy see failure as a necessary step on the road to success. They understand that wisdom is not given freely, it's earned through trial and error. They know that every setback is an opportunity to refine their approach, to sharpen their strategies, and to grow stronger in character and resolve. When they stumble, they don't see it as the end, but as a chance to pivot, adjust, and move forward with greater clarity. I remember one particular business venture that didn't work out. I had invested time, energy, and resources, only to see it fail. At the time, it was discouraging. But instead of giving up, I asked myself what I could learn. I analyzed what went wrong, what signs I missed, and what I could do differently next time. That experience made me more cautious, more informed, and ultimately more successful in future ventures. Failure is also a test of your commitment to your dreams. It challenges your resilience and forces you to evaluate how much you really want what you're pursuing. The wealthy don't run from failure, they lean into it. They accept it as part of the process, knowing that the path to wealth is rarely straight or smooth. This perspective is liberating. It frees you from the paralysis of fear. When failure becomes feedback, you stop fearing mistakes and start embracing growth. You begin to see challenges as invitations to learn rather than threats to your worth or future. There is a saying I hold close. Success is not built on success. It's built on failure, frustration, and sometimes even catastrophe. Without failure, there is no progress. Without setbacks, there is no wisdom. Without struggle, there is no strength. So, if you find yourself facing setbacks, don't let them discourage you. Instead, let them teach you. Reflect honestly on what happened, adjust your course, and keep moving forward with renewed determination. Remember that the difference between those who stay poor and those who become wealthy is not the absence of failure, but the ability to learn and grow from it. Failure is tuition, not the final exam. Keep paying the price, keep learning, and your wisdom and wealth will grow together. Money is a resource that demands respect, and without that respect, it will slip through your fingers no matter how much you earn. You can't multiply what you don't honor. This is a truth that many overlook in their rush to chase bigger paychecks, grander opportunities, or flashy investments. But the foundation of true wealth isn't about how much money comes in, it's about how you treat the money you already have. I learned this lesson early in life, when I had very little but was desperate to create more. I used to think that the answer was simply to make more money, that if only I earned a higher salary or landed a bigger deal, all my problems would disappear. But I quickly discovered that without discipline, without systems, without awareness, more money simply created more problems, more stress, and more lost opportunities. I saw people around me who were making more than I ever dreamed of, yet they were financially insecure because they didn't respect the money they had. Respecting money means first knowing where it goes. It means tracking every dollar with care, understanding not just how much you earn, but how much you spend and where every cent is invested. It's a discipline of accountability. Without it, you're sailing a ship without a compass, hoping to reach a destination that remains uncertain. The wealthy don't guess or hope. They know exactly where their money is going, and they make sure every dollar is working for them. Honoring money also means treating your expenses with intention. Every purchase should be a decision, not a reaction. The wealthy think twice before spending. They ask themselves if the expense contributes to their long-term goals or if it's just a fleeting desire. They understand that money is not for impulsive gratification, but for building a foundation. That's why they develop systems budgets, savings plans, automatic transfers that ensure money is protected and grows over time. They build these disciplined systems before they chase bigger scale, because without the foundation, the structure will collapse. I remember a time when I had a small income but began tracking every expense. It was tedious and sometimes frustrating, but that simple act transformed my mindset. Suddenly, I wasn't just letting money flow in and out without thought, I was managing it like a business. Every dollar became a soldier with a mission, either to cover necessary costs, invest in my growth, or save for the future. That respect for money brought order to my finances and gave me a sense of control I had never felt before. Too many people treat money like an endless river, expecting it to always flow back, but when they fail to respect it, it runs dry. They ignore bills, overlook small expenses, and avoid facing the reality of their financial situation. It's not the big spends that break you, it's the small, unnoticed leaks that drain your resources. Respecting money is like caring for a garden. Neglect leads to withering, but consistent attention yields growth. Before you can multiply your money, you have to build respect and discipline. You have to know where you are, honor the money you have, and create a system that supports your goals. Only then can you safely scale your wealth without fear of losing it all. Remember, wealth is not about how fast you run, but how steady your foundation is. The journey to financial freedom starts with respect for every dollar earned, for every cent spent, and for the systems that keep your money working for you. Without respect, money becomes a restless guest in your life. With respect, it becomes a loyal partner on the path to your dreams. Time is one of the most misunderstood resources we have, yet it is as precious, if not more precious, than money. The wealthy understand this deeply. They don't spend their time casually or let it slip through their fingers as if it were infinite. Instead, they treat time like capital, investing every hour with the same care, thoughtfulness, and intentionality as they do their dollars. Because time, when managed wisely, compounds just like money. In my early years, I watched many people treat time like it was disposable, lost in endless distractions, busy work, or waiting for motivation to strike. I was no different. I believed that as long as I was working hard and putting in hours, that was enough. But I soon learned that not all hours are created equal. 10 hours spent distracted or unfocused is far less valuable than 2 hours spent deeply engaged and purposeful. The wealthy don't simply fill their days with activity, they fill their days with actions that build toward their goals. Think about this. Money can be replenished, lost and earned again, but time is a one-way street. Once a minute passes, it never returns. Yet many spend their time as if it were limitless. They let it slip away on trivial pursuits, mindless scrolling, or tasks that neither educate nor elevate. The wealthy understand that each hour they invest is like a seed planted deep, nurtured with learning, building skills, refining strategies. It will grow into lasting wealth. I remember a period in my life when my financial situation was fragile, but I began investing my time into learning and personal growth. Instead of wasting hours watching television or chasing fleeting pleasures, I dedicated myself to reading, studying philosophy, and developing skills that would later become my foundation. At first, it felt like a sacrifice, but over time, I saw how those hours accumulated. Knowledge built upon knowledge, ideas compounded, and the value of my time investment multiplied. It was clear, time invested wisely pays dividends far beyond money alone. The wealthy know that time, like money, follows the law of compound interest. The moments spent learning a new skill, building relationships, or creating systems are not lost, they grow exponentially. Each hour invested today builds the momentum for tomorrow's successes. This is why they guard their time fiercely, protecting it from distractions and low-value activities. They create schedules, rituals, and blocks of focused work designed to maximize the return on their most valuable asset. Consider how you treat your money. You wouldn't throw your cash around carelessly. You wouldn't buy something without asking if it's worth the price or fits your plan. Yet how often do you do that with your time? The wealthy learn to say no to time thieves and yes to activities that align with their vision. They avoid busyness for busyness' sake and prioritize deep, meaningful work. This focus on time quality, not just quantity, is a hallmark of wealth building. Time management is more than just calendars and to-do list sites, a mindset. It's about recognizing that every minute holds potential capital that can either be wasted or invested. It's about treating your day like a portfolio, balancing urgent tasks with strategic projects, and continually refining how you use your hours. The wealthy don't leave their days to chance. They design them with intention, purpose, and vision. If you want to build real wealth, start by rethinking how you use your time. See it not as a series of endless moments to be filled, but as precious capital to be invested. Learn something new, build a skill, strengthen a relationship, work on your vision. Because when time is invested with care, it doesn't just pass, it multiplies. Remember, wealth is not simply what you accumulate in your bank account, but also what you create with your hours and your life. Time is capital. Use it like money. There's a fundamental difference in how people think about earning money that separates the poor from the wealthy, and it all comes down to what they trade for that money. Those caught in the cycle of poverty tend to believe that the only way to get ahead is to trade their time directly for cash. They work longer hours, take on more jobs, or hustle harder, thinking that more time on the clock automatically means more money in the bank. It's a mindset that limits their potential because time, unlike ideas, is a finite resource. You only have so many hours in a day, and once those hours are gone, they cannot be reclaimed or multiplied. I remember when I was starting out, working as an employee in different jobs, I was trapped in this exact thinking. I measured success by the number of hours I put in, the number of shifts worked, or the overtime I clocked. But no matter how hard I worked, my income was capped by the hours available to me. It was frustrating, like running on a treadmill, exerting great effort but going nowhere fast. This is the trap that keeps so many people stuck, exchanging their most precious asset, their time, for a limited paycheck. The wealthy, on the other hand, understand that true wealth is not created by grinding more hours, but by multiplying value through ideas, innovation, and leverage. They trade ideas for money, not time. Ideas have the power to scale infinitely. One good idea can generate income repeatedly without requiring more hours of your labor. This is the secret that unlocks exponential wealth. When you develop ideas, whether it's a product, a business model, or a system, you create a vehicle that earns for you even when you're not physically working. This shift in thinking from trading time to trading ideas changed everything for me. When I started focusing on creating value that could reach more people, I moved beyond the limits of my own labor. I realized that by serving others in ways that scaled, I could generate income that was not tied to the clock. For example, when I began speaking, teaching, and writing, my ideas reached thousands and my impact multiplied. My income wasn't just what I earned in the moment, but what my ideas could generate over time. Trading ideas for money also means embracing creativity and problem solving. It's not about having a single job, but about continuously seeking new ways to add value. Wealthy people ask themselves, what problems can I solve? What value can I create that will benefit many? Their mindset is about growth and innovation, not just effort and endurance. They build assets businesses, intellectual property, investments that generate income streams far beyond their personal time. Contrast this with someone who believes their worth is tied to how many hours they can work or how many tasks they complete. That mindset leads to burnout and frustration because it places an upper limit on earnings. Time is limited. Ideas and value are not. The wealthy don't just work harder, they work smarter by leveraging knowledge, relationships, and systems that multiply their efforts. One practical example from my life is when I realized the power of investing in personal development. The ideas and principles I learned didn't just improve my life momentarily, they multiplied over years, influencing decisions, relationships, and opportunities. I wasn't trading more hours. I was trading better ideas that increased my effectiveness and income exponentially. So, the question for you is, are you still trapped in the old mindset of trading hours for dollars? Or are you ready to shift your thinking, cultivate ideas, and build assets that multiply your value far beyond your personal time? The path to wealth is paved not with busyness, but with creative value, creation, innovation, and strategic thinking. Remember, you can only trade your time once, but ideas can be traded, shared, sold, and leveraged repeatedly. The wealthy trade ideas for money. Start thinking the same way. I want to start by telling you something that many never truly grasp the circumstances you find yourself in right now, no matter how challenging or unfair they seem, are not what ultimately determine your fortune. It's not the economy, your upbringing, your schooling, or even the hand you were dealt by life that decides your destiny. What truly dictates the direction of your life, your wealth, your success, is the philosophy you carry inside your mind. Your philosophy is the lens through which you interpret every experience, every setback, every opportunity. It's the compass that guides your decisions and the foundation upon which your actions are built. I've met people from all walks of life, those who came from privilege and those who started with nothing. And I can tell you, I have seen men and women rise from poverty to prosperity because they developed a winning philosophy. Conversely, I have seen those with abundant resources falter and fail because their mindset was rooted in defeat, excuse, or fear. The world itself doesn't determine your fate, it simply reflects the thoughts you choose to embrace. Think about the great storms life throws our way: economic downturns, job loss, family struggles, health crises. It's easy to look at these external forces and blame them for our hardships. But if you look deeper, you'll find those who succeed despite these storms have cultivated a philosophy that transforms adversity into advantage. They see challenges not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. Where others see limits, they see possibilities. When I was young, I faced many obstacles. Opportunities were scarce, resources were limited, and the path ahead was uncertain. But I chose a philosophy of growth, responsibility, and relentless learning. I told myself, this is not the end, it's a beginning. That mindset empowered me to see every failure as a lesson, every no as a chance to refine my approach, and every difficulty as a training ground for resilience. It wasn't easy, but my philosophy gave me clarity and strength to keep moving forward. One of the most powerful things about your personal philosophy is that it can be consciously developed. It's not a fixed trait you're born with. You have the ability to choose your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. You can decide to focus on what you control, the effort you put in, the knowledge you seek, the values you live by, rather than what you can't control, like the economy or other people's opinions. The wealthy understand this deeply. They don't sit waiting for the perfect conditions to start building their fortune. Instead, they cultivate philosophies rooted in self-reliance, optimism, and proactive action. They prepare for tough times and seize opportunities no matter the external environment. Their thinking empowers them to act with confidence and purpose. Let me share a simple truth. Your external circumstances may influence your starting point, but they do not determine your finish line. The philosophy you carry will either anchor you or set you free. It will either chain you to excuses or propel you to innovation. It will either limit your vision or expand your horizons. If you want to change your financial destiny, the first step is to examine and elevate your philosophy. Ask yourself, what beliefs am I holding that are keeping me small? What stories am I telling myself about why I can't succeed? Then challenge those stories. Replace them with beliefs that support growth, resilience, and possibility. This isn't about blind optimism. It's about choosing a mindset that serves you, no matter what life throws your way. Remember, the external world is constantly shifting. Markets rise and fall, governments change, jobs come and go, but your philosophy can be your constant anchor. It's the unshakable foundation on which you build wealth, peace, and purpose. When you master your philosophy, you master your fortune. So, as you go forward, remember this. It's not your circumstances that hold you back. It's how you think about them. Cultivate a philosophy that turns every challenge into opportunity, and you will discover that your fortune is truly yours to create. Let me tell you something I learned early in my journey. Wealth, real lasting wealth, doesn't come from confusion or wishful thinking. It begins with clarity. When your goals are vague, your efforts scatter like leaves in the wind. Without a clear destination, you drift aimlessly, hoping something good will happen. But hope is not a strategy, and ambiguity is the enemy of progress. The wealthy don't rely on vague aspirations or maybe someday dreams. They write their goals in ink. They set precise income targets, define investment milestones, and mark freedom dates on their calendars. Clarity is the fuel that ignites momentum. I remember a time when I was starting out, trying to build a life that mattered. I had dreams, sure, but they were fuzzy, unshaped. I knew I wanted to be financially free, but I hadn't pinned down what that really meant. Was it a specific number? A lifestyle? A legacy? Without that clarity, my energy was wasted and my progress slow. Then one day I sat down and wrote out exactly what I wanted. My income goal for the year, how much I needed to save, the date by which I wanted to be free from paycheck worries. That simple act transformed everything. Suddenly I had a roadmap. Every decision became easier because I could ask myself, does this move me toward that goal? If yes, I acted. If no, I let it go. The power of clear goals lies not only in motivation, but in direction. Imagine being in a vast forest without a compass. You could wander for days and never find your way out. That's what vague goals do. They leave you lost in the forest of endless options, distractions, and delays. But with clarity, you have a compass. It points you true north, and even when the path is tough, you know where you're headed. Clarity also sharpens your focus. When your goals are well-defined, you're less likely to be swayed by shiny distractions or short-term temptations. You begin to say no to what doesn't serve your vision and yes to what advances it. This discipline is what separates the wealthy from the rest. It's not that they have more opportunities, it's that they know which opportunities align with their clear goals, and they pursue those relentlessly. It's important to understand that clarity isn't just about numbers or deadlines, it's about vision. What kind of life do you want? What values will guide you? What legacy do you wish to leave behind? When your goals reflect your deepest desires and principles, they become magnetic. They draw you forward with a power that's unstoppable. In my own experience, writing down clear goals was a practice I never neglected. Every morning I would remind myself of these targets. When setbacks came, and they always do, clarity kept me steady. I didn't lose sight of the bigger picture. When others around me were distracted or overwhelmed, I moved with purpose because I had a clear destination. So if you want to build wealth, start here. Define your goals with crystal clarity. Write them down. Make them measurable and time-bound. Think about your income, your investments, your freedom from debt, the lifestyle you want to create. Make these targets vivid in your mind and concrete on paper. This clarity will create momentum like nothing else can. Because when you know exactly what you want, your mind becomes a powerful ally. It begins to see opportunities, solutions, and pathways where before there was only confusion. You'll start making better decisions, take consistent actions, and gradually, step by step, you will build the wealth you desire. Remember this, wealth is a journey with a clear map, not a random stumble in the dark. Begin with clarity, and everything else will fall into place. Now let's bring it all together. What we've explored here is more than just a formula for wealth. It's a complete reorientation of how you think, how you choose, and ultimately, how you live. You see, building wealth isn't only about strategies or tactics. It's about transforming who you are at the core. Because when you change your philosophy, everything else changes with it. Your decisions sharpen, your habits evolve, your outcomes shift. The difference between a life of quiet desperation and one of abundance begins in the invisible realm of thought, in how you see time, money, discipline, failure, and purpose. We talked about breaking free from the employee mindset, not by quitting your job tomorrow, but by beginning to think like a builder, a creator, someone who builds assets, not just clocks in. We talked about respecting the fundamentals, saving, investing, mastering the basics, and doing them not once, but over and over again until they become part of your identity. We explored how discipline isn't about force. It's about alignment with your vision. how clarity is power and confusion is a silent thief, how your time is capital, your ideas are currency, and your philosophy is the compass. So the real question is, what will you do now? Will you let these ideas sit as notes in a journal, or will you use them to rewrite your future? You don't have to change everything overnight. That's not how wealth is built. But you do have to begin. Begin by picking just one idea from today, one shift in mindset, one small daily habit, one simple financial principle, and live it with intensity for the next week. Watch how your energy changes. Watch how your decisions sharpen. Watch how life starts to respond to your new level of intention. This is your moment to stop surviving and start building. Because you weren't born to be trapped in cycles of debt, stress, or mediocrity. You were born to grow, to create, to lead, and yes, to prosper. So don't just wish for it. Don't just hope. Decide. Take responsibility. Start where you are with what you have and move forward one disciplined day at a time. Because the future isn't something you wait for. The future is something you build starting right now.